Here's a look inside some of the world's most notorious prisons. This 2019 footage shows the drug cartel leader El Chapo as he began serving his life sentence at a supermax prison in Colorado known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies. Its inmates have included the Boston Marathon bomber, the Unabomber, and the shoe bomber who tried to bring down a plane. Stephen Fabian spoke to former Supermax warden Bob Hood.
How difficult would it be for him to even try to escape?
Well, no one has so far since 1994 when they opened. But in El Chapo type of confinement at the Supermax, he will be in his cell about 23 hours a day. He'll have cameras all over him.
In 2015, El Chapo escaped through a tunnel dug up under his prison cell in Mexico. But escaping this prison, which is solid rock, would be a harder feat. In 2016, Real Housewives of New Jersey star Teresa Giudice talked to Les Trent about serving time in a Connecticut prison.
I had to strip down, I had to squat and cough.
Humiliating?
Oh, definitely, of course. Those mattresses, they were disgusting with stains on them, urine stains, blood stains.
You talk about your room in the prison being referred to as the boom boom room.
Yeah, I named it that.
What does that mean?
Exactly what it's saying, boom boom. It's like a lot of sexual activity going on.
The other inmates are having sex in your room.
Correct.
And what are you doing?
My bed was against the wall, so I just would put the covers over my head and turn my face towards the wall and go to sleep. There was maggots from the rice, from it sitting there, from the heat. So, and then that day, I remember, I ate the rice, and I was like, oh, God.
In 2015, we got a spooky look inside one of America's most historic prisons, the Ohio State Reformatory. The paint was peeling, cobwebs were everywhere, and the cell bars were rusty. The abandoned prison was where The Shawshank Redemption was filmed in 1993. The prison opened in 1896 and closed its doors in 1990. Some of Ohio's most dangerous criminals were held there.
Rapists, murderers, child molesters, you name it.
The prison made for a perfect backdrop for Shawshank. Here's the boardroom where Morgan Freeman's character was denied parole in the movie. These tunnels were made especially for the movie's classic scene where Tim Robbins' character escaped.
They had it filled with a mixture of chocolate syrup, candy bars, crackers, and leaves to give it that sewer feel. For the first 3 or 4 years that we were open for tours, this tunnel still smelled like chocolate.
In 2024, Sean Diddy Combs spent his first night behind bars inside a facility some call hell on earth. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn is notorious for its appalling living conditions and rampant violence. Les Trent has more.
How bad is it inside this federal lockup? There have been 2 murders, 4 suicides, and numerous stabbings and lockdowns in recent years. It's so out of control inside that 4 federal judges are reportedly refusing to send any more prisoners here.
Donald Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, spent a year there in federal custody.
You have a desk, you have a plastic chair, you have your bed with a 1.5-inch mattress, no pillow, and you also have a locker. So you basically have 3 feet by 5 feet to move around. So you have a basic 15 square feet. It is a horrible, horrible place.
From 2025, this is the prison where Bryan Kohberger will spend the rest of his life in solitary confinement, locked in a cell 23 hours a day. Bail bondsman Kevin Corson talked to Stephen Fabian about the Idaho Maximum Security Institution.
So what do you think will happen to Bryan Kohberger inside this prison?
Bryan Kohberger is definitely going to have a target on his back. He's accused of murdering women, which is frowned upon inside the prison system.
Now, it may surprise you to learn that even in solitary confinement, Kohberger may be permitted to buy a computer tablet for $100 so he can have access to emails, music, and even movies. And get this, Kohberger may also be permitted to purchase a TV set that can be hooked up to basic cable.
He can watch crime stories.
He can watch crime stories, he can watch whatever he wants in his cell at any time.
News Nation's Brian Enton was granted permission to tour the facility.
Did you see the cell that would be like his cell, and what does it feel like in that cell?
It's sterile, it feels very maximum security. They send everything through a little opening in the door, food. You're really just by yourself.
Inside Edition's former anchor Deborah Norville once went behind bars for a week.
Alrighty.
Turn around, put your hands behind your back.
This is the first time we've seen the sun in 4 days.
They sentenced me to spend 1 week in the toughest jail in America.
Good morning. Good morning. Hi, everybody. I'm Deborah.
What I've learned in here that every person who's thinking about doing something stupid ought to know is think twice, and if that doesn't do it, think about 3 more times.
What I reported and what was true at the time was that at that particular juncture, the incarceration rate in local jails was increasing about 9% per month. And what I discovered from that week in jail was not a darn thing was being done to prevent that number from increasing. For the entire time that I was there, and every single woman in jail had a family member at that moment who either was in jail or had been in jail. So there was no stigma amongst the women in cell block A about being in jail. It's what you did. It was part of regular life. There was nothing happening while these women were behind bars that was going to help them make better decisions going forward. But what they really needed were job training skills. What they really needed was help getting off drugs. What they really needed were decision-making classes that would enable them to not choose the wrong path repeatedly, which is what had gotten them there in the first place. Nothing was being done to keep this from happening over again.
It was physically harder than I thought, but emotionally much more fulfilling than I ever expected.
In July of 2025, Inside Edition got a look at Alligator Alcatraz, America's newest prison deep in the heart of the alligator-infested Florida Everglades.
Biden wanted me in here, okay? That did it. He wanted me. It didn't work out that way.
President Trump toured the facility where 5,000 undocumented migrants were detained inside hog wire cages on rows of bunk beds.
We're going to teach them how to run away from an alligator, okay? If they escape prison. How to run away. Don't run in a straight line.
For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Andrea Swindall.